मैं ब्राजील के राष्ट्रपति और मेरे मित्र
the President
लूला डी सिल्वा को
and
हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं
De Silva,
और मैं उनको
and now I
प्रेसिडेंसी का गेवल सौंपता हूं। मैं राष्ट्रपति लूला को इस अवसर पर अपने विचार साझा करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
Bem, primeiro gostaria de dizer às autoridades aqui presentes, suas altezas, aos presidentes, aos primeiros ministros, de que a natureza, ela continua dando demonstração de que nós precisamos cuidar dela com muito mais carinho. Essa semana, há 3 dias atrás, no Brasil, um ciclone no estado do Rio Grande do Sul. Nunca tinha havido ciclone, matou 46 pessoas, e tem quase 50 pessoas desaparecidas. Isso nos chama a atenção, porque fenômenos como esse têm acontecido nos mais diferentes lugares do nosso planeta. Bem, eu quero primeiro cumprimentar o primeiro-ministro Narendra Modi pela condução eficaz da presidência indiana do G20 e pelo excelente trabalho na preparação dessa cúpula e no carinho que foi dedicado a todos nós convidados nesse dia que nós passamos aqui. Agradeço os esforços da Índia em dar voz a temas de interesse dos países emergentes. Por isso, eu quero me solidarizar aqui com o nosso querido companheiro, representante da União Africana, que agora faz parte do G20. Há 15 anos, este grupo se consolidou como uma das principais instâncias de governança global na esteira de uma crise que abalou a economia mundial. Nossa atuação conjunta nos permitiu enfrentar os momentos mais críticos, mas foi insuficiente para corrigir os equívocos estruturais do neoliberalismo. A arquitetura financeira global mudou pouco e as bases de uma nova governança econômica não foram lançadas. Novas urgências surgiram, os desafios se acumularam e se agravaram. Vivemos num mundo em que a riqueza está mais concentrada, em que milhões de seres humanos ainda passam fome, em que o desenvolvimento sustentável está sempre ameaçado, em que as instituições de governança ainda reflete a realidade de meados.
In which governance institutions still reflect the reality of the middle of the last century. We will only be able to face all these problems if we address the issue of inequality. Inequality of income, access to health care, education, food, gender, and race, and also of representation is at the origin of all these anomalies. If we want to make a difference, we have to place reducing inequalities at the core of the international agenda. Therefore, the Brazilian presidency of the G20 has 3 priorities. The first one is social inclusion and fight against hunger, energy transition, and sustainable development in in its three aspects: the vector social, the economic, and environmental vector. And thirdly, the reform of global governance institutions. All these priorities are part of the Brazilian presidency motto, which says, building a fair world and a sustainable planet. Two task forces will be created: the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty and the Global Mobilization Against Climate Change. We need to redouble our efforts to achieve the goal of ending world hunger by 2030. Otherwise, we will be facing the biggest multilateral failure in recent years. Acting to fight climate change requires political will and determination from the rulers, as well as resources and technology transfer. We want greater participation of the emerging countries in the decision-making process of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The unbearable foreign debt of the poorest countries needs to be addressed. The WTO must be revitalized and its dispute settlement system must start working again. To regain its political strength, the UN Security Council needs to count on the presence of new developing countries among its permanent and non-permanent members. The international community looks at us with hope because we bring together economies from emerging countries and developed countries in the G20. We represent 80% of the global GDP, 75% of exports, and around 60% of the world's population. To ensure that the G20 acts in an inclusive and coherent manner, Brazil intends to organize work around three general guidelines. First, we will make the political and financial paths work in coordination and in a more integrated way. There's no point in agreeing on the best public policy if we do not allocate the necessary resources for its implementation. Second, we have to listen to civil society. There are no governments without civil society. The Brazilian presidency will ensure that engagement groups have the opportunity to report their conclusions and recommendations to government representatives. Thirdly, we cannot let geopolitical issues hijack the discussion agenda of the various G20 levels. We are not interested in a divided G20. Only through joint action may we face the challenges of our days. We need peace and cooperation instead of conflict. The path that will take us from New Delhi to Rio de Janeiro will require a lot of dedication and commitment from everyone. The technical groups and the preparatory ministerial meetings will be hosted in several cities in all our 5 regions of our country. For that reason, we will welcome the members of the G20 with open arms. And we need effectively to the support of all the people here, including the track record of this successful summit meeting that was hosted by our dear country that is India. I will be very much honored to welcome you all to the Rio de Janeiro summit in November of 2024. And before I hand the hammer here, I would like to thank very much to Prime Minister Modi and to thank to the Indian people for the competence that they had for organizing this event. And I would like to say, Prime Minister Modi, that I personally am very much touched emotionally